Yo, what's up everybody? It is your boy Skywalker OG coming at you with another Rise of Kingdoms video. Today we are going to be discussing Arc and more importantly, what commanders you should be using in the middle of the Arc of Osiris. So first let me start off with saying solo marches is not the way to go in the Arc of Osiris. If you're using, we'll just go down the list. How about that? If you're using a Julius, I personally would not use Julius as a primary in any march. I think it's completely terrible. But William as primary with Julius as secondary works. YSG with Julius as secondary is okay. Both of these marches are subpar. They're not stellar, they're not great, but they are usable. Constantine, the only way you're ever going to want to use Constantine in the middle team is if you have like a Constantine Mulan, or if you or one or two players have a Constantine Joan. That is it. There is no other reason why Constantine should be in your middle commander march. YSG is an excellent top tier commander for the middle. He is good as a primary commander, but he is an amazing secondary commander to Artemisia, to Alex, to Richard, to Charles, you can literally put this guy behind any march and he excels and does very well for the AoE factor, especially in the middle for Arc of Osiris. You really want to have heavy buffers or heavy AoE in your marches. You don't want to use any solo damage marches or any just pure tank marches. They're not doing anything once when you're in the middle of the fight. All the nuking marches are going to get focused first. Your tank march is not going to get focused. So at the end of the skirmish, or at the end of the fight, whenever it's pretty much no nuking marches back on the field, it's just tank marches, what's going to happen is the enemy is just going to focus your tank solo, and just to slow them down. The arc carrier is just going to walk away with the arc, because you can't go after them and you're not going to do any damage anyways, because you're just purely tanks. So using a lot of tank marches in the middle is not the way to go. It is a terrible route, and that is exactly why I've seen alliances struggling in the middle versus a lot of these other better alliances, is they're just using a lot more solo damage until Takeda, Khan Cao, Khan Saladin, Cao, Richard Charles, Richard Constantine, using a lot of solo damage marches, and they're really not excellent for the middle. They're not even subpar for the middle. They do absolutely nothing for your middle team. All you're doing is tanking and absorbing damage that you're not even receiving anyways, because all you're getting hit by is AoE. Nobody's even going to focus you. You're literally just taking AoE damage because nobody's going to focus you until the end of the fight. Cao, I would not use Cao in the middle, period. The only way I would ever use Cao in the middle is if he was my arc runner with the T1 march or the T5 fast march, however your alliance runs it. Richard, the only way I would use Richard is if I have Richard YSG, Richard Ethelfled, Richard Joan, Richard Mulan, something that has a Richard Sun Tzu, Richard Motmed, something that has AoE on the back end. That way he just has sustainability, he stays alive, and he constantly does a lot of AoE damage with the secondary commander. I would not use him again with another solo damage commander, not just to stay alive. There's no point in it. You're not helping your team whatsoever. Minamoto, I would not use Minamoto whatsoever in the middle. Literally whatsoever in the middle, because behind if you use Minamoto YSG, if you use Minamoto Babers, now I will say in a low end arc you can use them if it's a low end arc, but if you're in a 4 or 5 billion power Arc of Osiris or an Arc League match, you don't want to use Minamoto in the middle. He's just going to get focused and popped immediately. His damage is subpar for a legendary commander, and his sustainability is terrible, especially if the only way you're going to make him good in the middle is by putting an AoE march behind him. Hardly any of the AoE marches have any sustainability. Artemisia is pretty tanky, but obviously you're not going to pair Minna with Artemisia. It's So yeah, I wouldn't use Minna in the middle team at all. I would stay away from him. Charles, again, Charles is like Richard. He's just tanky. He doesn't get the heal, but he's tanky. He has the counterattack damage, so if he's swarmed, he does decent. Commander that you can use in the middle, but I wouldn't prefer to use him. I would prefer to use a faster March. But if he was one of your only options, you could use Charles YSG, Charles Sun Tzu, Charles Mahmed, Charles, who's another one I'm missing? Charles Mulan, Charles Joan. You can use any of the AoE, pretty much any of the AoE marches behind him, besides like a Bayburs or a Kusunoki or any of those. Anything that's got a high damage factor or is infantry troop specific, even Ethelfled, because of the debuffs, you could use behind Charles and it'll bring a decent value to your Arc of Osiris middle team. Again, it's not an amazing march to have as Charles primary, however you can use Charles primary to do in the Arc of Osiris if it's one of your only legendary marches, as long as you bring some kind of AoE or heavy buffing or debuffing behind him to assist the Arc team. El Cid is very, very, very undervalued in the Arc, and I think he is very, very good because of the fact that he is a very mobile archer commander. If you put investment into the archer gear and you actually gear this guy up, he's decently tanky because the archer gear is a lot of health and a lot of defense, and El Cid YSG is actually a pretty decent damaging march, as well as a very mobile march. So I would use El Cid, but only if I was using him with the El Cid YSG. I'm not really an archer main, so I don't think he works well with Artemisia, but like I said, I'm not an archer main, so I don't exactly know. I just now maxed my Artemisia, so I actually might test that out this arc and let you guys know whenever I post my arc video this weekend how it works. But I don't really, I guess it would probably be El Cid, obviously. I wouldn't go El Cid primary, but I'll test that one. But like I said, El Cid is very mobile, and El Cid YSG is a pretty decent march for the middle team. Hannibal Barca, I would not use Hannibal Barca in the middle. I mean, you could go, if you're desperate, Hannibal Barca for a debuffing march, but again, I personally would not put Hannibal Barca in any of my Osiris League teams on anywhere for any reason, except for literally the only reason I wanted to use him is for like an Ethelfled Hannibal Barca for counter rallies, and I still probably wouldn't do that. Actually, I really wouldn't. Yeah, Barca really has no place in Arc. Not in a higher tier position, at least. Saladin William, I think, is a very, very good and key element to an Arc of Osiris middle team. Saladin also can be paired with YSG on the back end. Saladin can be paired with Ethelfled. It is actually a very decent march. Saladin can be paired with Bayburs. Who else? Mulan. Saladin Mulan is a thing. Basically, the whole thing is you want to bring... you have to and want to bring AoE behind every one of your marches if it is not AoE primary. Mahmed, same thing. Mahmed is a decent commander to fill out behind any good primary that I've listed previously and that I'll list after this, because of the fact that he brings AoE. He is not the best, but he is good because of the fact that he is bringing AoE to your team fight. If you have 30 marches and all 30 of those marches are doing AoE damage, you will nuke down an enemy that has 30 marches but none of them have AoE. It's literally impossible. Or they're gonna have 30 tanks and you're literally just gonna fight them, push them back, and take the arc and walk away, because they're not gonna be able to catch you. So I mean, take your pick. Because the only way you're gonna beat all nuking marches, all AoE nuking, buffing, debuffing marches is by using all tanking marches, and you're not going to be able to get the arc runner by using all tanking marches. It's not going to happen. Khan, again, he's like, he's better than Minna, so you can use him in the middle with Baybris behind him or a YSG behind him. But personally, I wouldn't. He gets nuked down very, 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 very fast. That's why I said Saladin is a way better choice. And I think he's really the only option as a primary cav for a high-end arc is Saladin primary. I'm not saying that you can't use these guys primary. I'm just saying that the best in the top tier is definitely Saladin William for cav in the middle. Alex again is another one of those commanders that you can run. Alex YSG, Alex Montmed, Alex. I wouldn't run Alex Milan. I wouldn't run Alex. I wouldn't run Alex and Joan. But Alex YSG, Alex Montmed, those are two very, very, very good marches. Guan Alex is an amazing middle team march. But like I said, it'd be Guan Alex, not Alex Guan. Ethelfled can be used in the middle. She's not amazing as a primary, but she can be a primary. She's very good as a secondary behind a Richard, behind a Saladin, behind a sustained march, because she would give an AoE and a debuff to your enemies, and she just brings a lot of value to your Ark of Osiris middle team team fight. Edward, I use Edward in the middle, but personally, unless you have better gear than what I have, obviously, I don't think he's a great commander in the middle, because the only choice you have really behind him is you can use Tamiris. YSG works, but it's not amazing, and that's pretty much it. I've seen Edward Artemisia do very well, but still, I don't think that I would say that he's on that top tier in the middle. You can use him, but he is definitely not that A tier or that should be on your middle team. But he is acceptable to be in the middle, but really only if you have a YSG or Artemisia behind him. Tamiris is good behind him, but not for the middle, because then you don't have any AoE out of that march. And once it's focused, it's going to get focused. And obviously you don't want to retreat in the Osiris fight. Yeah, poor Eddie. I love you, Eddie, but you can't. You just not bringing the heat then. Theo, obviously not an open field commander. Guan Alex, Guan Harold is a very decent open field and middle team march. Artemisia Tommy, Artemisia YSG, Artemisia, I haven't never tried Montmed, I probably wouldn't, but Artemisia YSG and Artemisia Tamiris is very, very, very good marches. I keep forgetting about the two new archer commanders, but I don't have them, so honestly I can't test them. I do know they're crazy in the middle. I do know they're very good in the middle, just from watching videos and getting wrecked by them in the middle. But I don't have any information on them. I haven't used them, so I can't really speak about them, and I won't speak about them. Ramses Tamiris is a very good march. However, Ramses with Tamiris gives you absolutely no AoE, so it's not really worth it. Ramses YSG and Ramses Artemisia, though, those are two very, very, very good marches for the middle team, because Ramses is a monster versus any infantry march, and Ramses is pretty decently tanky, as well as you have your AoE on the back end with Artemisia or YSG, and Artemisia brings that much more value of tankiness from her march as well. Tamiris I would never use as a primary. Nishidia, never in the middle. He's a farmer. Frederick, I would never use in the middle. Cleopatra, never. Syndioke, never. YSS, never. Mulan. Mulan is an amazing commander for the middle. As long as she has a secondary to Richard to Charles to Constantine to could do Ethelfled. As long as she's and Saladin, could do Saladin. As long as she's a secondary behind any of these marches, she's a very, very good value to your alliance in the middle. Charlemagne, I would never use Charlemagne in the middle. I would never use Charlemagne, period. He's a terrible commander. Attila, Takeda, or Takeda. Takeda behind any other march. He's amazing secondary cav commander behind just about any other march. But again, it's solo damage, so I would not use him in the middle. Attila, Takeda, if he was my only option, I would use him in the middle, only because of the fact that he is a pretty decent tank and he will still distribute out damage if the enemy doesn't focus him, and if they do focus him and he gets swarmed. As long as you have very good gear, or decent to very good gear, it depends on obviously what you put into it and what size you are and your team is and what size the enemy is going to be relevant to each other. So as long as you have the decent gear for your Osiris team size, he's going to do good in the swarm as well. So Attila Takeda is a good march. Attila Attila primary, obviously never. Attila secondary behind any other commander, I wouldn't, not in the middle. Leonidas, I wouldn't use him in the middle. Attila, like I just said before, Attila Takeda is decent. Chandra, me personally, I don't like Chandra. I know I see him a lot in the middle on higher tier teams. Even the ones that I fight and we go against, I don't have a problem smashing them, and I don't see the value that they're given to their middle teams. So I personally would say don't use this guy. But I mean, if that's your cup of tea, that's your cup of tea. And William, like I said before, William Julius is a decent march, but Saladin William is an amazing march and amazing middle team march and open field. Period. I said this before too. Guan Harold is decent. I wouldn't really use him on the open field. He's amazing on rallies whenever you keep the rally field. Or I wouldn't say I wouldn't use him on the open field. I wouldn't use him in the arc because he's pretty dang squishy. You can do Guan Harold, or you could do Guan Alex in the middle. That is fine. It is feasible. It is usable. It is good. I'm just saying that he is pretty squishy. Now, I will give Harold this. Once you have the very, very good infantry gear on him, and you have some of that HA gear on him, like the book, to where it increases his counterattack even more, he's insane even on the open field. He is insane to try to swarm down. He's a naughty nuts guy. Sun Tzu is a very good commander to put behind just about any of your marches. In the middle, I do agree with that one. Kusunoki you can use behind your El Cid or behind your YSG or behind your Artemisia if you have to. If those are like the only legendaries you have and then you have to pick between an epic, then he's feasible. He does have that AoE. He's pretty decent. He has a dot. Boudica, never. Lohar, never. Belisarius, Lancelot. For a fast march to go capture the Ark, good march. Very good march, very solid march. Kiera, again, I always forget about her because I don't use her at all. But she has some AoE. She's pretty decent. She can be used in the middle, for sure, behind like a YSG or... actually, Edward Kiera does decently well. If you have gear on him. I've switched over my gear from my Artemisia and put her on there, and it did pretty well. Babers is good behind Saladin. Babers is good behind... He's decent... Or he's good behind Khan. He's good behind Mena. But again, like I said, for Osiris, I don't think you should be using Khans or Menas. They just get nuked down. But you could definitely put him behind Saladin, and he'll give you that value. Joan can be used behind any of your more tanky marches to bring an AoE buff benefit. Pelagius, I just wouldn't use him unless you're in one of those lower end or free to play Ark of Osiris matches. It's just not. It's not. He's not a top tier commander, and that goes for any of these. Honestly, if you're in a 5 billion or higher Ark of Osiris, you shouldn't be using any of these commanders after. Yeah, any of these that are left. I wouldn't use a single one of them. Xeno, she's not a great open field. I wouldn't use her on open field. I don't have the 2 new infantry commanders, so again, I'm not going to talk about them. I can't talk about things that I'm not able to test. I will only give you information on what I've seen, what I've gathered, what I've been able to use, what I actually have my Ark of Osiris team do. That's this week we're doing a different thing in the K9 16. Stay tuned for the video for Ark this weekend. We will post it. But for my original Arc teams, every one of my players that go in the middle must have an AoE or debuffing or buffing march, and we've done pretty well, and we're on I think a 3 or 4 win streak in SQ16. Yeah, so I mean, it's proven from my experience to do very well to run AoE heavy or buffing, debuffing heavy marches, not solo target marches. Solo target marches just really do not bring that thump, that hit, that punch that you need in the middle. And overall, at the end of the day, your tank marches, your solo damage marches will be left to be hit last, and they're just not going to be able to keep up with the Arc carrier, because usually it is a infantry march, and the Arc carrier is typically a fast cap march. So I hope this helps you guys. I hope it helps you with your commanders pairings and who you would like to focus for Arc if you're an Arc player. Leave a like, comment down below, and let me know how I'm doing. Till next time, peace out. As always, guys, it's been a lovely time. I hope you liked the video. I hope you guys leave a comment and let me know if you enjoyed it, what kind of content you would like to see. Leave me a like, subscribe, maybe share it. Until next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and peace out.